show here on your favorite Cleveland network, KAZ Radio and Television Network. I'm your host, Olivia Winster, here serving up the good news happening right here in the city of Cleveland, keeping you informed, engaged, and connected. Cleveland, are you in need of legal assistance, educational, or professional resources? Well, the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Association is here for you. They've got what you need, Cleveland. And in the studio today, I have the president of the CMBA and U.S. Assistant Attorney, Marlon Primes, here to share information about the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Association and talk about all the resources they have to offer, and even to discuss the issue of immigration and how the CMBA is taking initiative to address the issues. Welcome to the studio, Marlon. Good morning.
Hey, thank you so much. It's so good to be here. Thank you for having me.
We're going to jump right into the topic, but first, some news. Cleveland, LeBron James is gone, y'all. He made his last shot here in the city of Cleveland. The king of the court signed a 4-year contract with the Lakers for $154 million. You know, I remember when he first left Cleveland, Cleveland was really hurt. But this time around, I have to say, LeBron, he put in his work. We got our championship in 2016. So I guess he figured it was time for him to move on. So all the best wishes to you, LeBron. We've had some great seasons with him. Good morning, Marlon.
Hey, good morning, Olivia.
Let's talk about your background here in the city of Cleveland before we discuss what the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Association is all about, what you guys are doing in the city. We want to learn about you. Where are you from?
Well, I grew up in northeastern Ohio. I grew up in Akron, Ohio, so I'm not very far from home. I went to high school in Akron. Then I went to college at Ohio University in Athens, Ohio, Ohio's first university. And then I went to law school at Georgetown University in Washington, D.C., where I got my law degree. So I've been practicing law about almost 30 years now.
Today, I have to say, you're a very special guest today.
Oh, thank you.
Because I will be taking the LSAT exam July 23rd. I am getting ready to go to law school, so we're going to see how I do on this test.
Well, you're going to do great. You're going to do great. Just, prepare yourself, as I'm sure you've been doing,
yes,
and put your best foot forward. I think that it's a good field to get into. It
yes,
gives you a lot of different options. There are attorneys that end up working in litigation in the courtroom. Then there are attorneys that do other things. They work in the media. They work in business.
Mm-hmm.
So sky's the limits, and I think it's a good platform, whatever you want to do. So I really encourage you and wish you all the best.
Thank you. I'm taking the next step in my service journey. Now, you're from Akron.
Akron.
How long have you been serving here in the city of Cleveland?
Well, I've worked at the U.S. Attorney's Office about 26 years. I work in the civil division, and essentially what that involves is each governmental entity has attorneys that represent them. The city of Cleveland has, city prosecutors and city attorneys that represent them in civil litigation. The state of Ohio has attorneys that represent them if there's litigation against the state of Ohio. And similarly, the United States has attorneys that represents them if they get sued in court. And so what I am is I'm part of the permanent staff of attorneys that represent the United States of America.
Permanent staff.
Right. Because basically the way it works is that the way it's divided up, they're divided up into U.S. attorneys' offices across the country. So there's 94 federal judicial districts. In Ohio, we have 2. Everything north of Mansfield is a northern district. Everything south is the southern district. Each federal judicial district has a U.S. attorney that's appointed by the president and confirmed by the Senate. Then they have a permanent staff of attorneys that basically work there. All right. So I'm part of the permanent staff that work at the U.S. Attorney's Office. So I do all civil litigation.
You can never get cut, huh?
Well, you never can say never. As in any job, you have to put your best foot forward.
Yes.
And, I've been there 26 years,
All
and
right.
been
Well, where did your professional background begin? You weren't always president of
Oh,
CMBA.
no, 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 no. Well, actually, I just enjoy being back here because this was my major in college, and I more or less assumed that I was going to have a career in broadcasting. Actually, my first job in Cleveland was working at WWS Channel 5.
Really?
That was the first job I had in Cleveland. I received that job through Ohio University School of Journalism, and obtained that job more than 30 years ago. And so, I enjoyed the experience. It was great. But I also had a minor in political science, so I said, "Well, hey, I'm interested in law school, and hey, why not pursue this now?" And I went ahead and pursued it, and I guess the rest is history. But I really enjoyed my time in broadcasting at Ohio University. One of the great things about Ohio University is they give students a lot of hands-on experience, whether you want to be in print journalism or broadcast news journalism. So as a result of those experiences, I got a chance to work on our college radio station, our college television station, and they had multiple stations. That we had a public broadcasting station, FM and AM. Then we had radio stations for each green, which is basically a part of campus. So there are just multiple opportunities to kind of hone your craft, and I really enjoyed it. So,
Oh,
so
wow.
broadcasting was my prior career, and so I'm
Wow.
glad to be back.
Wow. What are some of your hobbies?
Well, the hobbies that what I tried to do is I got a really good example from my parents, particularly my father, and one of the things that he taught me to do, God rest his soul, he's moved to the other side of the River Jordan, as we would say, was just being responsible. And one of the things that I tried to do when my children were growing up, now they're adults, is just really be there for them, my family. So one of my hobbies was just getting involved in all their activities. I coached my son's basketball and football teams. I went to all of my son and daughter's sporting events and various activities. So those were basically my hobbies, and then supporting my wife and her activities. She's a business owner. So
Ah.
those are kind of my hobbies. And then also I get involved with bar associations. I've been very active in that.
What uh what business does she own here in Cleveland?
My wife is Kathy Howard Prime. She owns Momentum Tutoring, and she provides tutoring services for students that are preparing for SAT, ACT. Also, she helps students that have not been successful on high school graduation tests. Because in the state of Ohio, they basically changed the law. When I was coming up, everybody pretty much, graduated. And a number of years ago, they instituted a procedure that if you don't pass, various tests, you can be held back in a
Right.
grade, even starting at third grade. And then it's particularly relevant, in terms of, you graduating. So you could be a senior and meet all the requirements for that particular high school. But if
Right.
you don't meet the requirements of the state of Ohio, you'll just get a certificate of attendance and not a diploma.
Ooh, that sounds like a whole nother interview.
Right. Well, she would be a good person to interview, and so what her job is just making sure that if a student is unsuccessful, trying to work with that student to make sure that they're successful and that they can walk across the stage.
You guys are doing some great things in the city.
Well, we're trying. We're trying.
What are some of your favorite things to do here in Cleveland? Where are some of your favorite places to go in the city?
Well, I've been very active in our bar associations at Cleveland Metropolitan Bar. We have a lot of different activities, not only activities that are professional, but we have social activities as well for attorneys because we want attorneys to be well balanced. Being a lawyer is very demanding,
Yes.
and to be at your best, you need to make sure that you're, well rounded. So, we have, happy hour programs, we have CLE programs that will help you in terms of your education, and then ways of networking with other attorneys. We also have a variety of programs to partner with other professions. We have a summit that we had with the media that I just held on June 14th. where we partnered with, again, Ohio University, my alma mater, and we brought in just a stellar panel of journalists. We had Wes Lowry, who won a Pulitzer Prize, and he works at the Washington Post. Matt Zabudowski, who covers the Department of Justice for the Washington Post, and Greg Corday, who covers the White House for USA Today. So we had a panel of journalists and then a panel of outstanding litigators to just kind of talk about what we can do together to make sure that we're properly educating the public about what we do in the legal profession. So it was a great discussion. And so those are things that I've been trying to do to not only, educate our members, but try to educate the public and really think prospectively.
What's your Cleveland experience been like?
Well, it's been fine. I mean, I think not being from Cleveland, the Bar Association gave me a great opportunity to meet so many different people. I'm just, very pleased that there have been so many people when I was a young lawyer that mentored me. And one of the ways that they mentored me was to encourage me to get involved in the Bar Association. So not only was it a way to make sure that I'm updated on the law so I can be an effective lawyer, it made sure that I was networking and meeting people outside the U.S. Attorney's Office, and that made my job as attorney easier. Then it also gave me an opportunity to work with other professions, as I described, with the program that we had with the media. In addition to networking programs with the media and journalists, we've also had programs networking with the medical profession regarding medical malpractice and just keeping people informed about how we can better handle those types of disputes.
What do you love about the city of Cleveland?
Oh, I love a lot about it. I mean, my wife and I actually went to Ohio University together, and we lived in Washington, D.C. So, if you compare, what you can do in D.C. compared to what you can do here, it's just night and day. I mean, my children, they're adults now, live in D.C., and just it's astronomical just trying to find a house. And to have a city like Cleveland where you can get a house at a reasonable rate, that the commute, you can commute from downtown to most of the suburbs fairly easily. You have so many amenities that are here. You have shows. We have the great jazz fest. We have great churches. We have a great African American community, very diverse community. So we're very fortunate, and great weather. We're right on the lake here.
Yep.
And so there's a lot of great things about Cleveland.
We experience all four seasons.
Yes. But
not in order.
Right, but compared to a lot of places, we don't have to worry about earthquakes or any other national calamities that you see in other areas. We have a very sophisticated legal community. In fact, our Bar Association was started. The predecessor organization, the Cleveland Bar Association, was started in 1873. And that was 5 years before the American Bar, which is a national organization, was founded. So we have a lot to be proud of in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Not only in our legal community, but in our other professions as well.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
So you gave me a little history, but what is the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Association? What do you guys do?
Well, we do a lot of things. One of the main things that we want to do is we're a network of attorneys and legal professionals. We're well over 5,000 members, and as I said before, we're the largest metropolitan bar in Ohio. The Cleveland Metropolitan Bar was founded as a result of a marriage between the City Bar, which is a Cleveland Bar Association, which was founded in 1873, and the Cuyahoga County Bar Association. So the merged Bar Association has been in existence since 1873. So our goal is not only to help educate our members, but also to help educate the public. We do a lot of great community programs and projects. For example, we have a number of outstanding programs where we're working in the schools.
Okay.
About 10 years ago, we started a program called 3Rs, where we have more than 500 volunteers go into the school districts in Cleveland and East Cleveland and help the students prepare for their graduation tests. Because what we found before the program is that a number of students in those communities were failing the test. So what we did is we worked in concert with the school districts in Cleveland, East Cleveland, developed a curriculum went into those schools once a month, and to help the students understand about law and government. And we've seen an uptick in their scores. We also have been able to let students know that there's a tomorrow past high school, and
yeah.
by seeing legal professionals, lawyers in their school, it not only helps them with their graduation requirements, but it also is a sense of inspiration for them.
Yes.
The other things that I've personally done with the 3Rs team that I've sponsored for the past 10 years is that we give them opportunity to see what we do at my job at the U.S. Attorney's Office. So we created a very unique field trip where we have about 50 students come to our court every year, and we work with Judge Oliver. We have like a mock suppression hearing with a chance to the students to actually depose an FBI agent, ask questions on direct and cross-examination, and make legal arguments. And then we have a luncheon co-sponsored by another organization, which is a bar association primarily of African-American attorneys that sponsor a lunch. And that organization is called the Norman S. Minor Bar Association.
How cool is that?
Yeah, so we got a lot of activities involved. Yeah, a lot of things going on.
So how did you get involved with the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Association?
Well, I got involved when I moved to Cleveland. I was very fortunate that I met Judge Ronald Adrian, who is a former administrative judge of the Cleveland Municipal Court. And I was, in Cleveland only a few months, got an opportunity to meet him, and he got me involved in the Cleveland Bar Association because he was head of the diversity committee. So I got involved with the diversity committee, and then after I was involved with the diversity committee, there were other attorneys that pulled me into other committees, like our Justice for All committee that runs our volunteer programs. So I got involved with that and chaired that committee. Then I chaired our 3Rs committee. Then I chaired our litigation section, and then I was on the board 2 times, the board of directors for the bar, and then decided to run for president. And I was successful and got elected.
And they just voted you right on in.
Voted me in.
So what's your role as president?
Well, the role of president, we have a board of directors, and what we want to basically do is make sure the bar is functioning. We have an outstanding staff that's run by our CEO, Becky McMahon. We have a staff of about 20 people that help our sections, our committees. And the role of the president is to make sure that the buses are running on time, the organization is being effective. I think it's important because I had an opportunity to be president of other organizations in town. So I think it's just imperative, if you decide to leave an organization, you have to have a vision in terms of where you want to take the organization. So my vision this year is to make sure we're doing all that we can to promote diversity and retention of attorneys of color and women in our profession, and also doing all that we can to make sure that we're providing member services to those that are paying dues for our organization.
Yes.
So those are important things for me.
Well, tell me about your core values.
The core values of our organization are to be thought leaders in our community. We don't want to just, be attorneys that are handling our own work and are only concerned about ourselves and our well-being. We want to be engaged and involved in the community. So that's why we had the community program that I described with the high school students. But in addition to those programs, we have some outstanding pipeline programs. We have the Stephanie Tubbs Jones Summer Legal Academy, where high school students get an opportunity to learn about the practice of law. We have some outstanding volunteers that are in charge of that program. We have the Stokes Scholars program that provides internships for college students and steers them into the legal profession. Then we have a minority clerkship program. And as a result of our efforts, we have one young man who started with the Bar Association when he was in 7th grade, went to high school in Cleveland, went through all the programs I described, and recently graduated from law school and passed the bar. And his name is Brandon Brown.
All right.
And
out to Brandon.
so shout out to Brandon, indeed. And in addition to Brandon, we have 10 other students in our pipeline programs, students of color that are in law school as a result of our efforts.
Wow.
So it's more than just about being about ourselves and learning about the law. It's about having a positive impact on our community. And so that's part of our core values as our organization.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
So the CMBA is not just for lawyers and not just for law students.
It isn't. It isn't. Actually, my wife, has been active in the Bar Association. We met as presidents of student organizations when we were students at Ohio University, and we've been helping each other's organizations ever since. And, she was active when I was a chair of the 3 R's committee where we, provided the tutoring for the students. So like Kathy, we invite other individuals that aren't lawyers to get involved in our programs. There's always room for non-lawyers as it relates to our 3 R's initiatives, as it relates to our Stokes Scholars or our Stephanie Tubbs Jones Scholar, and all the initiatives that I described today.
What kind of support do you have for students who are trying to pursue law, like myself? Is there any support groups,
Yes. Well, through Mary Growth and those working at the Bar Association, they have a lot of the unique programs that I described as it relates to Brandon Brown. They've had programs to help prepare students for the LSAT, which is an exam that Olivia, of course, knows is
in July.
Yes, and we wish you best of luck here. And she has had programs, Mary Growth, to help prepare prospective students for the LSAT exam, and also prepare them. Let me check on that.
Okay.
Let me check on that. I think that there may be some opportunities to provide some information about what you can expect. Because one of the things that we found, if we want to make a positive impact and increase the number of people of color, we have to get out into the community. We have to kind of explain, what is the process for being a lawyer.
Absolutely.
I didn't know anybody that was a lawyer when I decided that I wanted to pursue a legal career. No one was a lawyer in my family. I was actually the first.
Wow. So
to have somebody that's a lawyer to say, hey, you can do it. This is the process. It's a long, arduous road, but it's something that's, that's doable, and that I'll, be with you if you have questions along the way. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
'Cause that's a big part of the process. And so, we'll certainly be with you, throughout your journey. And I'm sure that you're going to do great things on the LSAT and do great things in law school.
Thank
So
you.
certainly let us know what we at the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar can do to help you.
I sure will.
Yeah.
Moving on to immigration.
Yes.
Okay, for the audience members out there, can you explain what is an immigrant, and can you define immigration?
Well, the immigration laws, and this is not an area that I'm an expert on, but essentially the issue is this. It's just basically rules for someone coming into the country that is not a citizen of the country. All right. So if you want to arrive, for example, if I wanted to travel to a foreign country, all right, there's procedures in terms of how I enter that country. So I have to enter that country through a passport, through the State Department of the United States. All right. And I have to follow the rules of that particular country in order to gain admission to that country. So an immigrant is just someone who's not a citizen of the foreign country. So there's a recent dispute about, the immigration issues in our country, about the rules for letting someone come here that's not a citizen of the United States. So there's a question presented right now about the issue of separating, parents from children, all right? And so as a consequence, what we're doing on Tuesday at the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar, which is at 1375 East 9th Street on the second floor, is we're having a forum where we're going to explain both sides of the issue, because we're a nonpartisan organization and we have attorneys that are conservative and progressive, and we have an outstanding panel of attorneys that are going to explain both sides of the issue. David Leopold is a nationally known immigration attorney. We have Alex Kewick, who runs an immigration clinic at Case Western Reserve Law School, and Heather Pendergrass, who's a professor at Cleveland Marshall College of Law. So not only will they explain the current immigration crisis, but they'll give individuals an opportunity to ask questions. And you can also view the program on Facebook Live. You can go on the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar site. And that's just a part of our effort, again, not only just to be about ourselves, but to be about the community.
Right, absolutely.
So the program may be an hour and a half, so we'll have plenty of opportunity for people to ask questions and really learn not only about the national consequences of immigration, but we're also going to talk about the impact locally.
Yes. How is it relevant to the city of Cleveland? Do
Well,
we have a large population
We
of
do,
immigrants
we
here?
do, we do, we do. I mean, we have a very, very large population, because if you want to look at the history of Cleveland, Cleveland and the history of northeastern Ohio was built on immigration. You not only had people like my grandfather that came here from the Jim Crow South, because there were recruiters that came to the South that recruited, sharecroppers who were the sons and daughters of former slaves, and they, encouraged them to come up to cities like Cleveland and Akron and Dayton. And in addition to those individuals that came up to Cleveland, you had, because of the industry, because of the steel, rubber factories, tire factories, it was a magnet not only from people from the Jim Crow South, but people from all parts of the world. You have a large segment from Ireland, a large segment from other parts of the world.
Yes.
So we're a community of immigrants. So it does have an impact on us.
So the CMBA role in addressing the issue on all sides.
Right. We want to make sure that that people are well informed.
Yes.
Because in terms of an issue, in terms of being an attorney, people call upon you to answer a whole wide variety of questions.
Right.
Laymen may not understand that attorneys, they specialize in a particular area, and they may have just expertise in that particular area, but laymen expect us to have experience in a wide variety of areas.
Right.
So as a consequence, what we want to do is we want to give the members of our association the tools to understand a variety of issues. And in order to understand the issue, you have to understand both sides of the question. You have to understand the position of the administration and what they're trying to accomplish, and you have to understand the opposite view in order to give people an understanding of what really is going on. So we want people to make their own decision. We have a stellar panel of attorneys that will be able to explain both sides, and they'll also give people an opportunity to ask questions, and the program is entirely free.
Okay.
So don't have to worry about that. You don't have to be an attorney. If it's something that you're interested in and you're passionate about, I encourage you to come at 12 on Tuesday, July 10th at the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Association.
All right.
And then we also, too, since this is a faith-based program, the Bar Association, we've had programs with my church, Antioch Baptist Church, and other churches, and what we're trying to do, in the past, we had an expungement clinic at Antioch Baptist Church, and we did that in partnership with the Legal Aid Society of Cleveland. And we had a great crowd of individuals trying to get information about how they can get their life back on track. We want to do similar programs during my administration, where attorneys would go and speak at churches, at community organizations. So we're going to try to get that up and running in the next few months, because we want to, bring our message to the people of Cleveland, so that if they have questions about an area of law, they can have an attorney at a set time answer questions in a general way, not necessarily about their particular case, but just questions in a general way about, maybe immigration law or juvenile justice or, domestic law. Go ahead,
this is great information, and I want to ask you this: how is the CMBA? What service are you providing to immigrants in the city of Cleveland who seem to be at the center of the issue?
Well, we worked collaboratively with a number of organizations. We've worked collaboratively with the Legal Aid Society, and again, just providing information. We have an attorney referral program where if someone has an issue about immigration or any issue, they can call our attorney referral program. We have an outstanding group of attorneys that are on that referral network. We have some very stringent requirements in order to get on that network, and so the public can pretty much call that number,
Okay.
and then we'll refer you to an attorney that can help you on immigration or any other area of the law.
How can the Cleveland community reach out to you online? How can they connect
Well,
with the CMBA?
Well, they can reach out to me through the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar website, which is clemetrobar.org. And I also have a Facebook page off of that website and a Twitter page as well. Or you can reach me at my office through the U.S. Attorney's Office as well.
All right. Well, there you have it, Cleveland. The Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Association is a resource for you. You have been tuned in to Good Day with Olivia here in the studio with Marlon Primes. I'm Olivia Winstead, and I'm signing off until next week. I'll see you next